Felix, it's good to see you again, bro. It was good meeting you the other night.
Yeah, hell yeah, it was cool, man. I'm
For,
glad we were able to link up.
for those who don't know, Felix and I were able to meet the other night at the Edgar Berlanga fight. Before we get into all that, bro, just fucking introduce yourself a little bit. Let the people know what you do, who you are, and how you got there.
Yeah, so again, my name's Felix, ITRBoxing. I started the company, but I don't want to say I'm like the owner or the founder, nothing like that. We all a team, you know what I mean? ITR, we're a family, we're a team. So that's what I do. I contribute same way everybody else does. That's me. You can follow me on social media, or if you want to get fucked up, PlayStation Network, King Felix G, everywhere. So, hit me up.
Awesome, bro. Well, I figured the first thing we talk about is that card.
Definitely.
Obviously the crowd was real dope. The whole atmosphere was real dope. It felt like, a Cotto fight circa '08 or whatever.
Yeah.
But I guess what were some of your main takeaways, and then we'll go, through some of the fights.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I've been to a ton of fights and I've been in front of some crazy crowds, but nothing. And that was only, not, I say only, but it was little over 5,000 people in there. It was sold out, but that energy, that vibe was most craziest vibe that I've ever been a part of ever out of any event that I've ever been to. That was just nuts. That Puerto Rican crowd in New York is something else. Like if, as a boxing fan, if you've never experienced it, you have to be there for that. Like that is just amazing. And it makes me wish I was able to be at a Trinidad fight or a Cotto fight at MSG. Like it was something special. I'm glad that, we were able to witness that.
And I'm telling you, bro, like some of my first fights that I ever went to were Cotto fights. I think the first fight that I've talked about this on this podcast before. The first fight I ever went to was Cotto Malignaggi.
Oh man, that's New York all the way.
Oh my God, dude, that was like the most New York fucking fight you could go to, because you had the New Yorican fans, you had the Italian fans, and at the time, Paulie was undefeated, and Paulie was a big deal. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
people were really excited about Paulie at that time, and then just the way the fight went down, he fought like basically the whole fight with a broken jaw and gave Cotto a hell of a fight. And I went to Cotto Mosley. I was at Cotto Martinez. I seen him a couple of times, and like you said, the atmosphere at a New Yorican crowd, bro. I mean, it's unique. Like it's in the same way that I've been dying to go to England, and get into an English fight where there's an Anthony Joshua or a big name out there, the way they ride for their guys. It's a lot like
definitely.
that in New York, But I guess, what were some of your takeaways from Edgar's performance? And because it seemed like in some ways the performance was very much contrasted the crowd energy.
Yeah, definitely. So it definitely killed the vibe a little bit because you expect Berlanga to knock him out. That's what he's known for. And, anybody who watched the fight knows that, it was a very underwhelming performance from Berlanga. A lot of people in press row, they had Steve Rolls ahead. I knew that, no matter, unless Steve Rose knocked him out, he wasn't going to win. I already had that in my head. I think everybody kind of knew that, unless he really, really put on a hell of a performance, which he did enough in my eyes to pull off maybe a draw or something like that. And well, maybe, you know what I mean? But he did a very good job in there. And Berlanga just, we were talking to Tim Bradley after the fight, and he, pointed out that Berlanga going 16-0 with 16 knockouts was the worst thing to happen to him. He just fell in love with that power, and he had no idea what to like. If you're not going to stand there and get knocked out, which nobody is, he doesn't know what to do. He wasn't cutting off the ring. He was just plotting. His comments after the fight was, Steve Rose is fighting scared. Well, I mean, if I'm fighting a dude who has knocked out his first 16 opponents, I'm going to fight you a little scared too. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to sit there and get punched. I'm going to get the fuck out of the way. And that's what Rose was doing. And it just, Berlanga looked confused at times. He had no idea what to do. His corner, I don't know, what was going on, what was being said in between rounds, but it doesn't seem like they know how to prepare for a fight like that. And it's kind of a letdown. I know the fans wanted a better show. He had some celebs in the audience too. It was crazy turnout.
It was a huge letdown, bro. I said this in the article, bro. I wanted this so bad, bro. I want this. I want this to be real.
Yeah.
I want to get on this train, dude. I'm desperate
Yeah.
to. Like,
Me too.
I'm ready. Like a C-level performance. I almost would have been there. You know what I'm saying? But it was just like, and also I was kind of far away, right? I thought it was like a 6-4 either way. I'd be cool with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
6-4 either way or a draw, I'm fine. It was a close fight. The thing that really bothered me though was that as much as Rolls did a nice job, he was moving, he kept Berlanga off balance. He didn't like sit down and hit him that much. You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't really sit down and give Edgar a reason to stop. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I was just like, damn, bro, like what is the mental hurdle that's stopping him from initiating or from, you know what I mean, just establishing something, what I'm saying, to work from.
Yep. I think a little bit, it might have been, he has those flashbacks of what Triple G's power felt like. So he didn't want that again. And somebody else sitting next to me was saying the same thing. You don't think he learned from that? He's not going to make that same mistake against Berlanga, and he didn't. So that's he did what he had to do to survive and stay away. But it was definitely underwhelming. I think for a casual fan, they might tune in to see Berlanga again. But as far as Steve Rolls goes, it's his stock has probably definitely dropped a little bit too, even from this. Like he's tough, he's durable, but I can't see too many promoters lining up to be like, let's get him on our show as well.
And to be honest with you too, bro, I think the same could be said for Berlanga to some extent, because at this point, if it had been, let's say it was a close fight, right? But it was wild entertaining, and we could see his flaws, but he really like laid it out there. You know what I'm saying? I feel like he'd get like the Juan Manuel Lopez treatment a little bit more, where it's like, yo, this guy's a real warrior. He's going for it. You know what I mean? But I felt like both him and Rolls were so passive. They were so willing to just kind of let time go by. You know what I mean?
Yep. It was it won, and going into the co-main event too, like comparing Xander and Berlanga, they both. So I definitely have things to say about both of them. Xander, his power is starting to show that he's not as powerful as we might have thought, but he's way more polished. His foot movement, his ring IQ, he's got a lot to fall back on. You might not have knockout power as you go up to the ranks, but he's proven that it don't matter. He's going to win that fight, and he's putting on dazzling performances still, with or without knockout power like that. And that's what you want to see in a young fighter, somebody who's got the full package. And Xander is more polished, more built and ready than Berlanga did. And just like in your article, maybe we're the ones putting too much pressure on Berlanga. We're watching a young fighter grow. Let's just leave it at that. Not a top 10 dude.
People want that. People want, the 16 first round knockouts is an achievement. Like that is incredible. You have to be special, to some extent to be able to do that. So because he was able to do that, people, of course, I want to see him with Benavidez. I want to see him with Canelo. Like they jumped the gun before. It's like, but how about this guy, Marcelo Coceres? You know what I'm saying? Who's like kind of tricky, been in there with Billy Joe Saunders. You know what I'm saying? He knows his shit. How does he handle that challenge? And what we're seeing is that he's going basically even, with that level of competition. Basically even. The fact that he's the A side is what's keeping him from having L's. I'll check this out right on BoxRec. If you look at the fan scoring for his last two fights, the average scores have him losing both fights.
Jeez, that's wild.
And it's not just 5-6 people, it's like 30, 40 people scoring this fight. You know what I'm saying? And he's lost both in the eyes of the fans.
Yeah, that's not good. Obviously, he's going to have that huge following unless he gets, put to sleep. That following's still going to be there. You know what I mean? That's just how passionate that crowd is. But I think for boxing purists and, people that know, we're kind of disappointed in Berlanga right now.
Yeah, I guess too. I'm so fixated on it because I was so excited. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was excited to see him in person. Look, the last guy he fought was a good fighter, so I was kind of cool with being like, that's what happens when you step up. You know what I'm saying? But And like you said, in contrast, seeing Xander, who's what, he's 19 years old, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Like you said, the power is not, a 10 out of 10, but it looks like pretty much everything else is. And so
Exactly.
because he has so many other things he can go to, the lack of power is almost like, all right, well, this might go the distance, but it's really tough to win rounds against his style.
Yeah, exactly. He was looking like a young De La Hoya in there too. He was he's got that boxer puncher style down. And don't get me wrong, I don't think he's like feather fisted. He just doesn't have that knockout power. But he's got them body shots that he was landing. They were pretty vicious. And one of my friends had tuned in. He hardly watches boxing. I told him, just tune in. This fight I'm gonna be at. And he was like, how is I forget his opponent's name. He's like, how is he still standing? Like he was taking a punishment. Yeah, yeah. And I was like, well, yeah, I don't know how he's surviving too. And Xander, he put on a hell of a performance that night, and he's only going to get better. He's only
That's
19.
A tricky opponent.
It was, and he had never that opponent had never been knocked down or knocked out before either.
Right.
So there's a possibility that dude just has a hell of a chin as well, because those are some shots. He ate some clean ass shots over and over to the chin and the body, and he stayed standing. So props to him too, because that was an achievement in itself. And the other thing, during Berlanga's fight, Xander came and he was hanging out with us watching the fight for a little bit, and such a polite kid, like awesome, amazing. Like I don't think there's anybody that's going to have anything bad to say about him. If they are, they're definitely hating for whatever reason.
Right.
On the
they
flip side,
see a young guy shine or some shit,
Yeah, exactly. On the flip side, Berlanga, if you look at his Twitter, he's making himself to be the bad guy. He wants that bad energy. Like he wants the type of vibe that Floyd Mayweather got. People wanted to see him lose. And that's how Berlanga is in a way. He's trying to force that out. He's trying to force this bad guy persona. Just do you. Be humble, you know what I mean? Be chill. Just like Xander is. And, he's got a couple bad things working against him right now. So, we'll see how far along Berlanga's going to go before, his train just kind of stops.
And maybe it's because I'm not really on Twitter like that. But anytime I've seen him do an interview, he seems like a nice guy. You know what I'm saying? Like in the same way that you've probably seen it. If you catch Adrian Broner one-on-one on a certain day, he's a cool dude. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what do you think that is? Do you think that's a marketing thing, or do you think that's like a his personality thing?
I think it's definitely a little bit of a marketing, because at the end of the day, if you look at Nonito Donair's last fight, that was like one of the most displays of like the best display of like respect between two fighters you can get. He's sitting there, his opponent was having problems speaking English, and Nonito started translating for him. It's saying, you know what I mean? He was just super respectful, super nice, but nobody really talked about that. But when you get a guy like Berlanga who's just talking out his ass, people are going to be like, okay, who's this guy? What is he talking about? You know what I mean? So it is a bit of a marketing, and it is smart. It is working. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to back that shit up.
Yeah. I think there's his nickname is literally the Chosen One. It's a little heavy.
Yeah.
It's a little heavy-handed. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I feel like to have a name like that, it can't be like selling out the Hulu Theatre at the Garden can't be like the We Made It moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not saying, and it's sick. It's so dope that he's 24 years old and he's doing that. I'm not hating. I'm just saying if the attitude from that is we made it and not we're just getting started, that's where I get a little worried. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. That's a super good point.
Like, because if his attitude was like, it was a tough fight. I'm still learning. We're just getting going. This is my first time being the main event. You know what I'm saying? I have a lot to learn. I can live with this performance. It's not it's not the end of the world. Even if he lost or it was a draw, it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that's the thing that worries me. What do you think about his corner? Because I've always been a big fan of Andre Rozier, but it doesn't seem like whatever he's telling him is clicking.
Yeah, it doesn't. And again, I didn't see what went on in this corner, during this fight. I have to watch it back, but it seems like he has, you're getting instructions, but he has his own motive at the same time, or he just doesn't know how to apply it. Like, you need to work on you need to work on this in the gym. And if,
Right.
like Tim Bradley said, you're running through these opponents in the gym, that's what we need to see in the ring. But you're facing a guy who's just not, like, you're bringing in sparring partners to make him look good. You know what I mean? And that's probably hurting him too, I think. And I think it's a mix of his corner probably getting him the right instructions and then teaching him the right things in the gym. But when you're in the fight, you forget a lot of that stuff and you just revert back to what you know. And for him, all he knows is knocking dudes out. And they're bringing in these sparring partners that might not be up to that caliber, to where they're just, laying down for him in a sense. You know what I mean? They're letting him get away with whatever. So when he's running into this situation in a fight now, he's just reverting back to that and forgetting what he's learned in the gym, like the important stuff. And maybe he does need a fresh set of eyes in there. You know what I mean?
I mean, the thing that's weird to me is that he's in the same circle as Danny Jacobs and Sergey Derevyachenko and Nikita Ababi and all of these like dope fighters that are right in his weight neighborhood. It's like, is he not sparring those guys? Because that's who he should be in with in the gym. He should be in with guys that are at his level or above. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be the A side in the gym too.
Yeah, exactly. That's only going to hurt you.
And we could see. And so I was also thinking about this too, because Danny Jacobs' last couple of fights, I feel like he's not letting his hands go. And now Edgar has the problem where he's not letting his hands go. And sometimes I've watched Nikita, and there's times where he's not letting his hands go. So I'm wondering, I'm such a, as New York guys, I'm such a big fan. I'm a supporter of all those guys, but there's something in the water over there where guys are not letting their hands go when they get in the ring.
Yeah, that's true too. That's true. And I think with Danny, it might be on the downside of his career. You know what I mean? So it could be age. It could be a little slowing down. But Edgar, I think it's more so just he doesn't know how to position those shots. He's not on balance all the time. Bradley was alluding to that after the fight. He's always off balance. And that was actually, Bradley gave us a really passionate speech. We'll get that video up sometime soon too. But he was like, his foundation is horrible. He has no legs. He doesn't know how to control his opponent. And he was even saying, if I went in there to help him, we're not even going to work on anything else but his footwork, because that's a mess right now. And I think that could be a big part of why he's not letting his hands go. Is he's not in position. He doesn't know how to cut off the ring. He doesn't know how to set up his shots. And your hand and feet play together, man. And that's one thing that he's lacking, is that foot movement. He's like moving around like Frankenstein in there.
And if you can't set it up, it doesn't matter if you can hit hard, right? Because, like, perfect example, Triple G hits like a motherfucker, but his feet are so on point and his jab is so consistent and pestering. So, like, when he fought Lemieux, he knows Lemieux's got bombs in both hands too. So he's just popping in with that jab over and over again. Pop, pop, pop. You know what I'm saying? And before you know it, he's barely letting any power punches go, and David Lemieux's face is all fucked up and they're about to stop the fight. So when you have something else to go to, and he doesn't have that something else to go to. You know what I'm saying?
Right. A guy like Steve Rose, you could try to chase him down, cut off the ring, but that dude's got good movement. He's an escape artist. You know what I mean? Kind of that kind of guy. You want to let him come to you a little bit. So in a case like that, I would have prepared Edgar to be more of a counterpuncher, like pull Steve in, because he's going to run away from you. He already knows the power, and he's been knocked out before. He doesn't want to feel that. So you can already tell going in what it is with him, what he was doing.
Put the foot pressure on and make him initiate. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's got a lot
disappointing.
Of work.
It was really disappointing, man. What do you want to see next from him? What kind of opponents do we see him in with now? Because I'm torn between, keep pushing him, keep making him step up, and like, maybe we don't have what we thought and we should keep, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do they do?
So I think it's with him, it's an interesting thing, because he's got this huge following, which at this point you're in too deep. You can't, you know what I mean? You're in too deep. You built this image and persona. You got to live up to it. I think they really need to go to the drawing board and work on a lot of shit. And their next couple of fights, they're going to have to take a couple easier. They might have to take this year off as far as like any super fights or anything like that. Like, get that out of your mind. They're gonna have to take a couple easy fights. Not that he is not worthy of a good challenge, but he's gonna need to build up that that confidence, that following, and stay active in there. So throw him a couple easy guys that he'll probably be able to get a couple knockouts in. But all during that time, he needs to work on, again, his foundation and his fundamentals. That's something that they're going to need to work on a lot. And then maybe work on that with some of these dudes that are going to come forward, not move away from him. And spar with some dudes. Get Paulie. Spar with Paulie. Give him a call. He'll run around. He'll show you how to fight a guy like that. You know what I mean? Even though Paulie's obviously way smaller. There's other dudes that will do the same thing. You know what I mean? But he's going to need to really work on that. And I think they need to spend the rest of this year working on that. And then, taking a couple easy fights to where he can put what he's learned into effect. And then hopefully next year, his first fight early, maybe it's March again, get in there with another big name now again.
So I agree with you 100%, but this is where I'm torn, right? I feel like if we put him in with another fight, where he's clearly the A side, doesn't that allow him to maybe just kind of fall back on the same bad habits? Like, it doesn't push him to improve, but at the same time, I think he should be really busy and be learning, you know what I mean? So you can't fight killers every time, I guess, that's why I agree with what you're saying. It's just like, they need to just keep him working,
Yeah, definitely. And one name that Tim Bradley threw out that he wants to see and he thinks is a winnable fight for this guy is Jesse Hart. He thinks Jesse Hart would actually stop Berlanga. And if I'm Berlanga and I'm seeing that, I'm like, all right, let's set that up for maybe later this year. Let's do a November, December date. October, some fourth quarter, you know what I mean? Maybe work towards that, because that's going to be a guy that is going to be there in the pocket with you. And can you imagine Philly and New York? That's going to be if that happened, that would be a huge fight, whether it's in Philly or New York.
Yeah, it would be massive regionally for sure.
And you'll definitely see me in person for that one again, because I wouldn't want to miss that one. That would be a fun one, but that would be a good one for him to work towards that. But he's got to learn some fundamentals, because he's not gonna, like Canelo. He obviously had problems with Mayweather and then Erislandy Lara. So that's we know that style was hurting him. Even Amir Khan was giving him problems before he got rocked and put to sleep. We know that style gives him issues. But he's adjusted. Look how he adjusted against Caleb Plant. Like, that was amazing. Like, you can watch Canelo adjust so many times in that fight. And if Edgar Berlanga wants to be the star that we know he can be, he's got to make those same type of adjustments. He's got to study Canelo. You know what I mean? Like, learn how to do what he's doing in there.
Yeah, and look at how the head movement creates the openings and all the creates the opening. It's not every time the guy throws, I pull all the way out and then I reset. You know what I'm saying? It's like the same thing over and over again. And I think, and I was looking at some of the rankings at 168, and there was one name that stood out to me that I would love to see, maybe not next, but soon. And it was Carlos Gongora. And I don't know if you've seen him, but he's a tough motherfucker. And I think he was a titleist at one point. He lost his last fight. But he's really fundamentally sound. He hits hard. It's like a firm challenge, you know what I'm saying, to really see where he's at. And I think with some more building, it may be time to make that step up. On the flip side of that, where do you think Xander is at? Obviously he's still 19 years old, but he seems like in boxing progression, he's much farther along. So how do you pace somebody who's that advanced for that age?
With how young he is, I think you just take your time still with him. This is obviously, it's a young man's sport. No need to rush. He still has some things to work on, obviously, as well too. But he's far more down the road than Edgar is. But I think take some time with him. Still, let him get in there and maybe pick up a couple knockouts, get that confidence in your power again. That you can't stop some of these dudes. But I think they're doing the right thing with him. Just keep doing what they're doing. They're doing a great job with him. His last couple of fights he's got the right opponent in front of him, pushing him still. And that's what he needs. I don't think they're doing anything wrong. I think they just need to keep following the same path that they're going with Xander, and he's doing what he needs to do as well too.
100%. And I like the fact that he's not in, with guys that are super easy to beat. He's in with guys that are presenting him puzzles and challenges, you know what I'm saying, and resistance.
Yeah, definitely. And watching his footwork in there it was amazing. And like he's able to, move on a dime and adjust and give angles. He was fighting like a very experienced fighter, like somebody who had more experience than he does. He's really polished, and like I said, I think that he's on the right path. Don't change what you're doing with him. Just keep it up.
And and I mean this in a complimentary way. He actually reminds me of like how Felix Verdejo looked 10 years ago.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's got that level of polish to him. And I think on a personal level, he's got it a little more straightened out, where he can maintain it.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, kid's only 19, so he's got a great future ahead of him. Obviously people want to break records, they want to be young champions and all that, but I mean, it's cool for the books, but what's good for you? You know what I mean? So take your time. He's got a lot of it. He'll be just fine.
The last guy I want to talk about from that card, I was really impressed with Bruce Carrington, Shushu.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think on like the contrasting where I think he's like 24, right? He's a little bit older.
Yeah.
I feel like he's like a perfect example of the benefit of staying amateur that little bit longer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To be able to learn, some more things in the amateurs before you go pro. Because he's 3-0 now, and he looks like, the opposition's not great, but just off the eye test, it looks like he's ready for whatever.
Yeah, definitely. And similar to like Keyshawn Davis, a young guy who's 2-3-0 as well. Same thing, like to the eye, they look further advanced than they really are. Shushu, and that was the star of the night, if you ask me. And then that crowd, oh my God, he brought all of Brooklyn with him. That was nuts. That was amazing. That crowd was just live. He came out with the MOP Annie Up entrance song, like that. Just it set it off too. It was great. Shushu's the one to watch for sure. That was entertaining. I don't know what's next for him. I'm hoping they get him back in there again real soon. But I like Shushu.
I like him a lot, man. I love all the angles. I love, the level of aggression kind of mixed with, how slick he is. He's so tough to hit. He's rolling, he's catching. He's just, he's got it all, and he's on the front foot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. And he was going for that knockout the entire time. That's what you want to see in the fighters too. Like Shane Mosley always said, like, no matter what, I'm always going for the knockout. And you're going to get that same vibe with Shushu.
Yep. Yeah. Because he's not Rigondeaux. You know what I mean? He's not, he's got the skills, but his mentality is like, I'm coming for you. It's like Terrence Crawford,
Yeah, exactly. And you like to see that in your fighters, because at the end of the day, people go tune in to see knockouts. A lot of us love the pure boxing. Look at a guy like Bernard Hopkins. He'll put on a clinic, and he doesn't care if you go home happy. He's said it before publicly. Like, he doesn't care about pleasing the fans. He's there to win and go home to his family. You get guys like Shushu, they're in there, and we expect Shushu to win and keep putting dudes out, but he has that style, like kill or be killed, and that you love that. You love that. You love to see that.
Yeah, he's almost got like the Mickey Ward mentality with the with the Shakur Stevenson skills,
Yeah, and that hook was just amazing. And I mean, it was a little scary too, because his opponent was laid there for a few minutes before he even started moving. That was pretty brutal. That power is real.
Tough. That guy was fucking tough, man. He was coming the whole time.
I know, and he was landing some bombs on Shushu, and then props to him too. I mean, he was in there. That dude had balls. He was in there. He was not backing down, and Shushu took those punches too. So he got his chin checked a little bit, and he passed the test. So I'm looking forward to his next fight, and hopefully, I have a feeling it'll probably be somewhere late April, early May. I think they might get him in there really soon again.
He's going to be a problem very, very soon.
Yeah.
There was there was another fight on that night that I got to watch. It was Alexis Roca beating Blair Cobbs. Did you get to watch that one?
I didn't. I was disappointed when I found out what happened. Especially because I'm a huge wrestling fan. You can see in the background I got some wrestling figures along with my boxing painting. And he came out with Kalisto, the famous WWE superstar. If anybody watches, so I'm hyped. I didn't know that. I just saw this yesterday. I was like, oh man, how do you lose with that? You know what I mean? And I didn't know he was like a huge like Ric Flair guy too. Like, I liked him, and then that happened. That kind of derailed him. And then Errol Spence shit on him like last week on Twitter. He said, "How are you, 30-year-old prospect?" So it's pretty bad for Cobbs. He's in a bad place right now. It was sad, but good for Roca though.
Well, and he's 32.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
They're,
Like,
yeah,
I mean, that's not old in boxing anymore, particularly. Like he's not boxing old because he's only had 16 fights. But
yeah,
I think the issue for Blair is that he's 32 with some bad habits. Like
yeah,
his chin is so up in the air, man. I haven't seen a guy that fights like that in a long time that gets to that level that's
yeah.
up here like this, bro. I mean, he's just asking for it. And he's a
Right.
lot of fun. He's super athletic. He's pretty fast. You can see he got some pop,
Yep.
but that chin is like a big old fucking welcome mat. I mean, he just got it out
Right.
there, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. You don't want to, even if you
Roca's
got a good chin,
good.
he is.
He's good, but I wasn't overly impressed with his performance, to be honest with you. I thought Blair did his thing, and he just defensively is just so I'm not even sure what you do with him.
And I didn't watch the whole fight. I saw clips. I found out what happened. So I don't know, how they looked in there against each other. So I don't know if a rematch is something that people want to see. But I was warming up to Cobbs because I was, he's a huge wrestling fan, and so am I. So when he brings that,
Where the
and he was
flair?
bringing he was bringing the gimmick to it. Like he was bringing that wrestling persona, and I love that. But he's back to the drawing board for him too. And I don't know. You tell me. Does it look like something that a rematch would be in play for them too?
If he had just gotten clocked the one time and got knocked out, I would say yeah, because it was pretty competitive. But he got rocked 4 or 5 times, and that kind of led to the knockout. So it wasn't like he got caught with something and then he made an adjustment, and kept it moving. It was just like he just kept getting caught. So I don't, unless he changes his whole game really radically, I just think Roca would probably beat him even worse.
Oh man, that's not good.
Because Roca's real fundamentally sound. I don't see anything, like holy shit about him. He's not like Boots Ennis or anything, but he's very solid. So somebody like Blair that's not real solid, that's almost like the worst fight for him.
Yeah, I'm still pulling for him. We put a lot of pressure on fighters, and you only see this in boxing. They take a loss and their stock drops big time.
Yeah,
you don't see that in any other sport. They take a loss and they're back in there. They can take 5 losses straight. It's whatever. So I mean, maybe we don't have to have that kind of pressure on him. So hopefully he will be back soon.
He definitely will be because he's so fun to watch. He just on entertainment value, he's going to be around for a bit, I think.
Yeah, fingers crossed, and hopefully they work on some things and tidy up whatever that needed to be worked on there.
Yeah. I was reading also, and I know he trains closer to where you're at out in California, but Vergil Ortiz, he was hospitalized by all right, I'm going to try to pronounce this. We'll see how this goes, but I think he had rhabdomyolysis or rhabdo, which is basically like your muscle tissue starts breaking down if you exert yourself too much, and it starts going into your blood. And I don't know if you heard about this, but it's a very serious condition.
I didn't. So I heard about him being hospitalized and all that. I didn't know what the condition was. I didn't look into that. That is pretty scary, actually.
It's really scary. I mean, you can have. I was looking into this before. Like, you can have, some real serious kidney problems. You can have, you could have organ failure.
Jeez.
From this, you know what I'm saying? So I guess what I'm wondering after finding out about that is like, Is that from cutting weight? Is that from not cutting weight properly? Is that just that it's not the right weight for him? You know, it's tough to know, but I mean that's a very serious condition for a young fighter to have.
Yeah, that's scary. Hopefully, he makes a full recovery. Everything works out for him because that would. So I mean, he's got a bright future as well too.
One
You'd
of the
hate to
best.
see anything, yeah, anything go bad from that.
And they did an interview, I think on the Cobbs fight, they did an interview with Bernard Hopkins, and his whole thing was like he should move up in weight immediately and just see how that feels. You know what
Oh
I'm
yeah,
saying? Because if you're
yeah,
pushing yourself that hard, you know, to make a weight to the point where your body's starting to kind of eat away at itself, I don't think you're at the right weight class.
yeah. That's true. Yep. I was talking to one of my good friends actually, is Randall Bailey. And we were talking about Demarcus Corley and how he stayed in that one weight class. And Demarcus Corley is fighting to this day. His career is a lifetime. Like he's had a long career, and he's been in that one weight class for so long. And Randall was saying that's not very healthy for that, unless you can really pull it off. But your body grows, and for you to keep it like that tight, that small, like you know what I mean. It's okay to move up. You know, Roy Jones turned pro at junior middleweight. He won his first title at middleweight. He didn't have to stay in that small weight class. You know what I mean? To move up, do what's healthy, do what's right for you. I know a lot of times they want that advantage, especially with no longer the same day weigh-ins like you had back in the day. um, you know take advantage, like they want that advantage of being bigger, but be healthy. That's going to help you out in the long run.
Yeah, what do you think it is that there's still that old mentality of like I have to get, you know, to the absolute lowest fucking weight that I can possible to have a size advantage? Because to me it seems like the size advantage doesn't help if you can't perform. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I honestly couldn't say what that is. I think fighters love challenges at the end of the day too, and it might be just like that could be it. Like that's their first opponent. Let me win the weigh-in, then let me win my fight. And that's like they have two fights going on at once. When it doesn't have to look at Floyd Mayweather, he comfortably made weight, except when he fought Juan Manuel Marquez. But he comfortably made weight for all his fights, coming in even sometimes under the weight limit. He was healthy. He didn't have to break himself down. Look at that. You know what I mean? I think some guys need to take a step back and look at that. You don't need that advantage. Skills pay bills. And if you are looking, of course, we all do it. We all want some sort of edge up on our opponent. So if a size advantage is going to do it for you, so be it. But at the end of the day, you got to think about what's happening in your body and how much stronger physically you'll feel in a higher weight class. Yeah, you might be fighting guys that are now your size, but your power is going to be better. You're going to be healthier. Your punch resistance is going to be there. There's so many more benefits other than killing yourself to make weight. The Ortiz camp definitely needs to take a lot of that into consideration.
And you got to think too, like, you know, it may be an advantage in this one fight, but you also have to think long term. You know, I think you're
Yeah,
right. Part of how somebody like Floyd or Manny, you know, stays relevant into their 40s is because they're not doing those insane weight cuts throughout their career. They're moving up, you know, gradually where it's appropriate. Even somebody like Canelo is always fighting guys bigger than him, but
yeah,
he's not forcing himself to get down to 154 or 152 anymore, like the catch weight.
yeah,
Not forcing his body to do that anymore. So even when he's smaller than Kovalev and Caleb Plant and whoever, it really doesn't matter.
yeah. That's true. It's true. It's just hard. It's just that advantage that some guys just want, that physical advantage. Hey, I can come in dehydrated and then drink water and be good. You know what I mean? Get a couple Pedialytes in me. I'm good. I'm bigger than my guy the next night. I'm stronger. That's you. It's not going to stop, unfortunately. But it's a scary game for a lot of these guys.
Do you think the same day weigh-ins are better?
It is and isn't. I think they are. I enjoy same day weigh-ins, to be honest, because you're seeing healthy guys at least. But then again, even then, a lot of dudes were still pulling that same game. because then they're forcing themselves to lose weight. And now they only have hours before the fight as opposed to a whole day.
Right.
So there's benefits, and not like you'll probably see less of that, but then there's still going to be dudes who are trying to pull that game. So it just depends on the camp and, you know, how responsible everybody is in that camp with, you know, what they're doing. They got to know their bodies and all that too.
Yeah, I think especially, you know, all these guys, they work so fucking hard that I think, like, you know, sometimes it's on the coaches to be like, yo, we gotta slow down today. You know,
Yeah.
we gotta, like, the same way they are in the ring, these guys, a lot of them just push themselves into the gym, like right up to the point of, you know, the brink. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
to me, some of it has to be coaching, where, so, you know, and I don't even know who Ortiz is with. He's not with Robert Garcia anymore, is he?
No, there's a chance he's going to be getting trained by his dad, more than likely. But we'll, you know, I don't know. We'll see what happens with that.
It's very, it freaked me out a little because I think he's one of the you know, the most promising young fighters in the whole sport.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
A couple other fights in the next few weeks I wanted to talk to you about. What do you think about Martinez and Warrington doing a rematch?
You know, it is what it is. we were talking about that recently. How is Kiko still around?
Not only how is Kiko still around, how is Mauricio Lara not getting this fight?
Yeah, I know.
I hate shit.
You know, you see it in boxing all the time. Not only this instance, but there's multiple weight divisions where that's happening right to this day. Like, how are certain guys not getting that shot? You know, it is what it is. It kind of reminiscent of Charlo Castano. Like, you know, the rematch is going to happen, but like, it's getting, well, at least in Charlo Castano's way, it's getting pushed back and postponed and all that. We get Kiko back in there. I don't think we're going to see any of that, but still, like, when are the other guys going to come in?
Right. And I just, like, it seemed like such a like an unfair thing that after the two fights with Lara, that Warrington would get this shot and not Lara.
Yeah.
Like, it's so backwards. I was trying to think of a comparison, and the one that I thought of was, this is a while ago, but I don't know if you remember when Zaire Rahim beat Eric Morales.
Oh yeah.
Then, even though that happened, they still had the Pacquiao rematch.
Yeah, exactly. Zaire gained nothing from that.
Nothing.
At all.
Nothing. He won every single fucking round, and he never got a big fight again.
And nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about him either.
No. And he was fucking amazing in that fight. But that was an example I thought of where it was just like,
that's a perfect example. Yeah.
How is he getting this rematch? He got knocked the fuck out and then had basically a no contest, you know?
Yeah. Yep. That's boxing.
It's so fucking silly. Does Emmanuel Tago have a chance against Ryan Garcia?
Yes and no. We'll see. Ryan Garcia is a little fragile mentally, and not disrespecting him. Obviously, he had, you know, some mental health issues. That's different than the way a fighter is in the ring. But he did show toughness against Campbell. You know what I mean? So I think eventually somebody is going to get in there and break Ryan Garcia down. Like, obviously, this way out of the realm of who he would ever fight. But a guy like Ricardo Mayorga, if you get somebody like that who's just in your face and like coming at you and just boss well, doesn't care about anything, that type of style is what's going to break down Ryan, I think. And I don't think it's going to happen this time.
It's going to either be someone more wild, or it's going to be someone whose game is just so tight and that this, you know what I mean? Because I was watching Tago, and he's definitely got some good skills. He's got fast hands, but he's just not that big. But to me, what I was feeling was like, this seems like high risk, low reward. Like, if I'm Oscar, why aren't I getting him bigger fights? If I'm putting him in with this top 10 guy that only really guys like us know about, you know, what's the point in taking that risk?
Yeah, exactly. And it's with Ryan, I think we're missing a lot in the background. I think I don't think he's fully dedicated to the sport. So I think we're going to see a lot of, I made the comparison of Francisco Panchito Bojado. I think Ryan Garcia is along that route. Granted, Bojado had like some legal issues, and that really threw his life off track completely. But I think Ryan is on that same thing. I think we're going to see a lot of hype, but we're never going to see it pay off with him. At least I don't think so. I don't see it with him. He's cut. Obviously, he's, well, I want to say a star. He's an Instagram star, but that's kind of it. I think he is what he is. I think he's getting pushed slowly and babied a little bit for a reason. They know something that we kind of have an idea, but we don't know what's going on. So I think we're going to see more easy, simple fights for that kid.
What I might even agree, but what makes you think that his commitment is
the most recent thing, obviously, getting I'm gonna just say he got kicked out of that camp with Reynoso, I think. He and Canelo even said he's here to help you train. You have to come in, you have to be committed. And there's more and more stories are coming out. Like, you can tell he's not dedicated, he's not committed. If you got Canelo, you got Oscar Valdez, you got Andy Reese, you got all these dudes in that camp, not one of them have complained about not getting time with their trainer, this and that. Ryan, there's something else was going on. I mean, you want to post a cute little video on Instagram hitting the pads and throwing punches with your arm behind your back to the speed bag, dumb shit like that. Like, kids are gonna love it. They're gonna be like, oh, look at this guy on TikTok. That's kind of what he is. But I think that's all he wants is he wants the fame. And he doesn't care about his boxing legacy in a way. You know what I mean? He's not fully dedicated to that, and especially because he's getting so much success and attention at this level, he doesn't really care what comes next.
Do you think there's any letdown from that Pacquiao exhibition that didn't come through?
I don't think that was ever going to happen in the first place. If you ask me, I don't think so.
Because I always wondered, like, if in his mind he got so jacked up about that, like, I'm going to fight, the legend of my time, and then it doesn't happen. I just wondered if that was a thing, but maybe it's not.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. I think there's a lot of smoke out of that camp. You know what I mean? And not the good kind of, we want the smoke. I think there's a lot of smoke and mirrors over there. So time will tell. But I think the painting is already on the wall.
Yeah. Do you think that being with Golden Boy has anything to do with that? Do you think, like, maybe he should go to a match room or something?
Well, he probably should. It would benefit him, but I don't think he wants to. I think this is perfect for him because I think Oscar and them recognize what they have, and they're going to do what they have to do to protect him at the end of the day. So I think everybody's in a perfect situation right there. And if you want, like, he's not going to pull a Rocky III and, move to LA, change up everything because he wants to be in the gritty camp. You know what I mean? We're not going to see that from Ryan. We're going to see him stay where he's safe and, can't be harmed.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I thought maybe, because I think that there is a narrative that he's just an internet fighter, and he's not that. He's a good fighter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's not Jake Paul. He's put a lot of time in. He's been in the sport a long time, but it definitely does kind of seem like, how do I put this? It seems like he's not protected, but he's protected a little bit. I think he is protected a little bit. Now that I'm talking it out, I think that, like, for whatever reason, even though he's got really good skills, like, he's not Edgar Berlanga. You know what I'm saying? He's got good skills, and he's been put on his ass. He got up. You're right, though. There's, for whatever reason, he's not being pushed, and now he seems not that interested in pushing himself.
Yeah, exactly. And there's something missing there. Obviously, again, we're probably never going to find out. He keeps pulling out of fights too. Then challenging everybody under the sun. He's probably going to challenge Tyson Fury next week. You know what I mean? Like, all right, fight one of these guys. You know what I mean? Like, you have all these guys right there, big names around you. You're in the mix with all of the guys, north and south of your division and in your division. Like, you have a lot of guys that you can start targeting instead of just calling them out. But I think, again, he's all talk, especially with that, because it sounds good to be like, hey, I want Haney, I want Davis, I want all these guys. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you're not doing anything about it. are really pushing that envelope. And even Oscar and them, they're not pushing it either because they know what it is.
I think you're right, bro.
Sadly,
yeah,
because he does have skills though. Let's not completely say that he's a horrible guy. He's got
he's
the skills.
exciting. He's exciting.
Yeah, he's got a great look, his hand speed, crazy. Obviously, he's got some heart in him. He's got some dog in him. He got up from that knockdown. You remember what happened with Victor Ortiz when shit got rough with Maidana? He didn't want that.
Right.
We didn't see that with Garcia. He gritted that out, and he got that W. So there's a dog in him, but I don't think he likes going to that dark place. And that's the other thing. I've heard fighters, J-Rock, a bunch of dudes like, I'm going into mentally, I'm going into a dark place. I'm tapping in because I know in this ring is hell, and I got to go through it to get clean on the other side. And Ryan's that's the thing. I think it is he's not willing to go to that dark place.
That's a really interesting take, bro. Well, I mean, we'll see where he's at. I think it's this weekend, right? I mean,
yeah,
we'll see where he's at, and we'll see. Maybe the time off was good for him. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
And I think it can't hurt to get in a camp with Joe Goosen and get a different set of eyes on what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like he's in he's in good hands.
That's true, and that's the thing. Goosen don't play. I like Joe. He's had some good fighters in his days too. So he knows what he's doing. He's definitely knows.
And it seems like Eddie Reynoso's style is more so like there's different styles of trainers. There's guys who are like, if you're not in the gym at the same time, they're going to call you, they're going to harass you. Then there's other guys that are like, look, that's the commitment part is on you. I'm not going to chase you around. I'm not going to follow you.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's more Eddie's style. It seems like if you're working with Joe Goosen, if you fuck up one time, he's like, you can get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think he'll be able to get away with being a star boy.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think that's the other thing too is then here's why you got to love Canelo. Like he's the biggest star in the sport, obviously, and he's sharing the camp with these other guys, and it's not he doesn't feel like he needs all the attention on himself. And that's the thing with Ryan is maybe he feels like he demands all the attention. Like maybe he was a little jealous of the attention that these guys are getting. That maybe he feels the spotlight needs to be on him, and he doesn't want that. He's the Bobby Brown of the group. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't want to share the spotlight with the other members of New Edition. He's the star. No matter how good these other guys are, I don't care. I want the attention on me. So going to Goosen is his. That's a good look for him, I guess, in that way.
Yeah, maybe he can break some of that. We'll see.
Yeah.
I guess before I let you go, Felix, does Ryota Murata have a chance against Triple G?
We'll see. Depends who you ask. I think we're going to see a good version of Triple G. He's had a decent amount of time off too. And if not, it might be the end of the road for him if he doesn't win spectacularly. But it should be good. I think we see a good classic Triple G performance again. I'm excited to see him back in the ring. I love Triple G. I think everybody does. But we'll see. We'll see how far Ryan holds up. I mean, he's got a decent chance to put up a good fight, but I think we see Triple G getting that W.
Yeah, I think one of the things people aren't talking about is how long it's been since Murata fought. I mean, he hasn't fought since right before
the pandemic. That's a good point. That's a very good point too.
He's been out for 2+ years, so he's gonna be shaking off rust against a bad motherfucker.
Yeah. Yeah. Props to him because you don't jump in from a long layoff and go in and get somebody like Triple G.
You didn't see Keith Thurman doing that.
Yeah, no, not at all. You definitely don't do that. So props to him.
I think as a whole, people the narrative of Triple G's decay is way overhyped. Like I think he didn't look great against Derevyanchenko, but that's a tough guy. He had the flu going into that fight. Sometimes guys get sick and you just they're not robots. And then I thought the next fight he had, I forgot that guy's name, but he looked great in that fight. He was up on his toes. He was boxing nice. I think it's just like people see, the age, they see that he's 40 and they fill in the blanks for themselves. But I haven't seen the in the ring thing. I'm not saying he's 2015 Triple G, but I haven't seen a performance where I'm like, he might want to hang it up.
Yeah, that's true. And I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. we're so harsh on these fighters after a loss that we're so quick to write them off. And if you look, ever since that second fight with Canelo, other than us, the diehards, you don't hear about Triple G anymore. Nobody's talking about him, and it's because of that. They write him off. So he has a lot of pressure on him himself because he's going to need to win big to get back into that spotlight again.
Well, and he also has to win big in order to get the Canelo fight that he signed on to for, what is it, September or something?
Yeah.
That fight's basically signed. So the only thing stopping that from happening is him losing this fight.
What weight did they say what they're going to meet for that one?
I think they're going to do 168.
Okay. That'll be good for him because I think he might have weight issues there. He might have had some weight issues too. So that'll be fun. And then Canelo having to come back down. Hopefully they don't pull a catch weight thing on us, but that'll be fun. I don't know if we'll see anything different in the third fight. Because if you ask me, Canelo's gotten even better since they fought.
Definitely.
But Triple G gave him a lot of problems too, and he had to earn that victory.
Do you think that it's a good fight to make, or are you of the school of thought like been there, done that? Why are we doing this?
I would say it's for Triple G you want it. For Canelo you don't need it. It's you definitely don't need. And against Triple G, he's still a live dog. Why do you need to take that risk with what Canelo's chasing, which is his legacy? It would benefit him more to move on, not take that fight. So it is, in his aspect, it's a bad fight. Hopefully Triple G gets it. But here's the thing: if Triple G gets it, there's a bad thing about having a draw in the first fight. You're bound to end up on a fourth fight if you guys split 2 more fights. Just like I think Fury Wilder would have
gone Pacquiao Marquez.
Yeah, Pacquiao Marquez. Even though Pacquiao was sweeping those first 3, there was a draw the first one. But yeah, if Triple G wins this one, then we're on to another one with them too. So Canelo, it's a lot of risk for him there. So he's going to have to run through him. So it is a bad fight. Low, no reward, high risk. I think it would benefit him, especially having to come back down. I don't think it's a wise move. We saw what happened to Roy Jones when he had moved up to heavyweight and came back down. Fighters aren't the same after that. Your body adjusts to being big. So it would benefit Canelo to keep moving forward away from Triple G. You don't need that fight. You've been there, done that. But we'll see what happens.
I think, like you said, Canelo's worried about his legacy, and he wants anybody that's like, because I thought the draw in the first fight was appropriate. I know everyone thought Triple G won. I thought that was the right call. The second fight, I thought it was a draw also, to be honest. I thought that they're basically even in 2 fights. So I think in his mind, he's like, I need to shut everybody up. I need to make sure that it's really clear, that I have this guy's number.
Yeah, true. And he could get it. That's the thing, like, who are you proving it to? You know what I mean? You're proving it just to yourself, which fighters have a lot of pride. I want to go in there and knock this dude out. And that's what Pacquiao Marquez, that's the whole reason they kept going at it, because they like, no, I need to put this fucker out. But I don't think Canelo needs to do that. To himself, he might feel like it. This guy's a thorn in my side. Let me get rid of him. That way all questions are answered. But there's still going to be that, he beat you the first time. I don't think Triple G ever clear-cut beat Canelo. I think the first fight was close, and you could have gave it to Triple G. But I think the rematch was clear for Canelo, at least by a couple rounds. But I think it's probably a waste of time for him still.
The main reason, and I know Sean Zeitel said something to this effect, but I was thinking it before I heard him say it. The third Pacquiao Marquez fight, you know what I'm saying? Like, they were roughly the same age difference. And Pacquiao had already moved up. He beat Oscar. He beat Hatton. He beat all these other bigger guys, Margarito. And Marquez had lost to Floyd and was not moving up in weight, and it wasn't working the same way. But there was something about their styles where it's like they're just made for each other. And I feel like that's where these 2 guys are. These guys are made for each other.
Yeah, true. Yeah, from a fan's perspective, you want to see it again because you want that kind of fight. Well,
I mean, I'm excited as fuck for it. I know it's a mixed bag on people being interested or disinterested in it. I think it's an interesting fight.
Yeah, it will be. Just like you said, the styles, they're made for each other.
Well, it's been great having you on today, Felix. Is there anything
Oh
or
yeah.
anybody you wanna shout out?
No, that's it. Shout out to you, of course, for sure, coming out for the fight and linking up. But yeah, no, make sure follow on Instagram, ITRBoxing, King Felix G, if you want to follow me. But that's it, man. Appreciate you having me for sure.
Yo, bro, it was great talking to you. We'll definitely do this again sometime.
All right, cool. Thank you.
All right, brother. Talk soon.
Peace.